Okay, English subtitles, please. Have you played Stanley Parable before? No. I hate these because I like it to be a little. I like games to be a little too bright. So for me, the computer is barely visible here. But I don't like it. I like it to be like that. Please enter the current time. Wait, is it a 24-hour clock? One. It's 1:24. Okay. Why does it want the real time? Ever the end is never the end is never the end is loading.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Okay.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders
Too real,
came to
but
him
okay.
through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley.
Okay.
Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I don't want to. I want to. Let's have a look.
Onesmo,
Kona!
3 spin, Onesmo, 3 spin.
Love you, Kona. Happy New Year. Thank you for the subscription.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Where's the meeting room? Let me in. Happy New Year, cutie Kona. Oh my god, endless corridors. Where's...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
But what happens if I...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, sure. Not because I want to disobey.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
Well, it's the nicest
Stanley
room we've
simply
seen so
stood
far.
here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished,
What a
you
lovely
sit looking at
room.
these chairs and some paintings.
I don't
Really
see any
worth it.
paintings. Oh, here's a painting. Ah, beautiful. Hi, Lexi. Happy New
At
Year.
this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and
Um.
reflected poorly on his overall personality.
Yeah.
It's possible that this is why everyone left.
I'm staying here. Yeah, the narrator has a great voice. I'm staying. I like it here.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Happy New Year. No, this is the nicest room we've come across. I'm staying here. It's a bit more uplifting, a bit nicer. I suppose we better move eventually, but I don't want to. I don't like the yellow carpets. I like the blue carpets.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
No one's here either. I mean, I suppose I should have probably done what he said. Do not lie. If you're lying, right now, stop. You hear that? Do not jump from the cargo lift when it is in motion. Will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1,000. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do,
Exactly.
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Now I shall pay
Good job,
$5,000.
Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Loved it. Right, that's it, everybody. Stream over. Okay, we're actually going to do what he says now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
We'll do as we're told now.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Oh my god.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
I do. This PowerPoint, like the layout, is very real. How to solve a dispute with using slides to assure employees that everything is okay. Make sure your slide has a slick blue graphic in the header and throw some bevel on all the text. This to ensure calm when everyone is unique. You most of all. I want the one's tips for not getting fired. It seems useful. Number of slides on this slide. Rate at which charts on the same slide depict the same information. To do, synergize. Core value expenditures, shift global market, I'm going to say paradigm, monetize free to play. Right, okay, I guess up we go.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, very nice. Oh. I'm the
Stepping
boss
into
now.
his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
Really?
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have remembered this.
We're going to do it anyway.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
I'm
He
amazed.
stepped into the newly opened passageway.
I actually can't see, so I don't know where the passageway is. Here we go. I guess we're going down. Loading, loading, loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar.
It's gas
It
leak,
was a
isn't it?
stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his
Hi,
job.
Ignis.
Why did he feel this now, when for years it had
Happy New
never
Year,
occurred to him?
Charlie.
This
Thank you for the
question
subscription.
would not go unanswered for long.
Happy New Year, Ignis. Happy New Year.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large
Mind
door
control
that read,
facility.
Mind control facility.
I think I'll be going for the
Although this
escape.
passageway had the word escape written on it,
Escape.
the truth was that at the end of this hall,
Okay.
Stanley would meet his violent death.
I'm for that.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Look, I'm trying. I
At
knew
this
I was.
point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
I was hoping for like to do what he said this time, but I just can't resist.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss.
What is the
Taking
purpose of
eyeballs
this?
from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Bye.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Or unless.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment
Stanley's
he hit
computer.
start?
Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. It's a good museum. Nature paintings. Ah, I remember when we stared at this one in the break room. The office. Ah, reminiscing. The two doors. The set of the two open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Here's the credits, well done. Oh man, I wish they would make a museum of like video games. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game was would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realised shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. I'd love a museum of, like, tracking the development of one game. I mean, like, you know, you could put in stuff like a pop-up exhibit. The apartment timer. Oh, I didn't get this ending. Everyone should make fun of people who like shooters. True, but they're a sensitive bunch, so you have to apologise to them, even if you don't mean it. Oh, look! Iterations of the office. Of Stanley's office. Amazing. I know, it's been a long adventure, Timkin. I just really needed a break, you know? Get my head on straight. Happy New Year! Countdown room. Monitor room, elevator. Yeah. Good job no losers here like shooting games. Boo.
Level design, textbook.
My head looks round. Rather curved. Me?
Are trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you. Stanley pushed the number 6. Stanley pushed the orange
It means people regularly get together, drive around in a car, lasso FPS shooter players and poo in their pockets. Honestly,
When Stanley came to the lift,
I wouldn't
he
be
traveled
surprised.
upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Stanley stood on the roof. Then he pushed them.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lexi could get anybody to do that with her. Like, genuinely, I could see it happening. I feel like the only unrealistic thing about that story is the lassoing.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
No.
As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
I refuse, that's my choice. Oh, this is why Lexi liked that story about how my mom almost beat that woman up. When I was driving. Because Lexi does the same. Hello, Freddy Winnie. What you doing?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Okay,
missed a
now
memo.
for real, we're going to do as we're told. We're going to go into the
When
mind
Stanley
control
came to a set of
facility.
2 open doors. He entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover
I
not
can't
an
remember.
indication of
Code
any
2845, something
what
like that.
could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Boobs. That was the password. Boobs. Now, for real, we're gonna go the right way. Boob. Just a singular
Stanley
boob
walked
then.
straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Just one boob.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
True. One boob is better. Employee observation protocol.
Now the
Gosh, they
monitors
like
jumped
big
to life,
buttons, don't
their
they?
true nature revealed. Each
Fired.
bore the
Someone got
number of
fired.
An employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
They're like big buttons and they cannot lie.
This mind control facility, it was
What
too
were we,
horrible
47?
to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Probably.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
What button is this? I'm gonna press it there.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
I did it. I did as I was told.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
To glitch your way off the walkway. That's amazing.
He had won. He had defeated the machine. unshackled himself from someone else's command.
Right, back to work.
Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But
As long as I don't have to work, it's fine.
he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking.
What was the strange
Happiness.
smell that had been plaguing
Perhaps
him
his
for
goal
10
had not
years?
been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now.
Oh yeah,
things
don't play
were
the
meant
forget.
to
I
be.
remember seeing that was an achievement in this
Stanley
game now.
was happy.
Let's knock at the door. Just my cousin. Just my cousin after some face cream. Right, now what? I guess I could turn the mind control thing on again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
We've already been to the right. So...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
This is my home now.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered
I
the
want this car,
possibility of
please.
facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley
My
felt
legs.
to have finally found an
My
answer,
leggies.
an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Let me in this
Thought to
car. That
himself,
door's
"I
open.
suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid." So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley
Starfield.
marveled that he had still
They
not
knew.
woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the
I
strangest
can
question
show
of them
you
all
the
entered Stanley's
world.
head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that of
Well, he
course,
will now. This is the voice I'm going to hear from now
could
on.
it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he
It's
could
alright. It's alright, Stanley.
He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through
not gonna
with this
happen.
dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please. It's all I want.
The mind
I
control
want my
facility got
apartment
us.
And my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
I'm okay.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just
Yes.
someone tell me I am real. I must be
Chimkin.
real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Flip is
Mariella woke
Mariella.
up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself. And then collapsed dead
We
on the
ruined
sidewalk.
Mariella's day.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance,
Folks, is it
for
gay
just
to
a
ruin
few
Mariella's
brief
day?
moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It
Knew
was
it.
comforting
I knew
to
it,
feel
Chimkin.
this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career. And by
We've ruined her
extension,
life.
the rest of her
Yeah.
life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Fair play, honestly. If she knew what was going through our head.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Executive bathroom. Ooh. For executive bottoms. The business strategy, it's a little, what's the word? Murdery. It's not for me. I want to go up. Yeah. How could they? Why are these glowing? We work for a sick corporation. The mind control room in the basement was one thing, but killing pandas, I won't tolerate it. Well, if we're stuck in here forever, then at least the music's pleasant, I guess. You say the pandas deserved it. I thought you said pandas don't deserve it. Chimkin. Oh no, I ended up here. How about if I go down? I would like to go down. Downtown. The pandas, the poor pandas. Yeah, I'm vibing. Stanley, do a little dance. Alright, I'm guessing I can't go anywhere. That was fun at least.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
No.
That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So
Well,
he
we've been through this
relaxed for a few
before.
moments with some calming new age music.
Okay, I'm gonna dance.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
I called out. Called out, Kona. Right, this time I guess we turn the machine on. See what happens.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I like big buttons and I cannot lie.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
I do. Okay, we should be
now
like
the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed.
4, 2,
Each bore
7
the
or
number
something.
of an employee in the building.
There's
Stanley's
our office.
co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
Never!
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Well, he enjoyed his job, so probably.
But here was the
Let's
proof,
face it.
the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Oh,
After they kept you
Stanley.
enslaved all these years, you go and
Yeah,
you try
I
to
like
take
it.
control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave.
On.
If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's
Oh,
emergency
no.
detonation system. In the event
Not
that
the
this machine is
detonation
activated
system.
Without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
That's smart,
How long till
actually.
detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind.
Well,
What a
okay,
shame we have
there's
so
these
little time
buttons.
left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time
Yeah.
to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Where's button 1?
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers
I
are?
would, actually.
A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
Where's 3?
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell
Thank
you
you.
exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free.
Oh, and I'm
That
an
was
idiot
really
who
in
still
this
showed up.
instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing.
Thank
Watching
you.
you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
I don't even know if this is going to do
I'm
anything,
sure
but...
whatever I come up with on the next
You've got
go
time.
around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it.
Same.
I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running
Oh,
from
let's-
button to button,
Can I go in
screen
here?
to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you
He
have
thinks
any
he's
idea what your
so
purpose in
clever.
this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble.
We love a power
This is not a
surge.
challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first.
Goodbye,
so you
employee
can't.
427.
Take a look
Bye.
at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke.
Can I try and
believe
in
me, I will
7
be laughing at
seconds?
every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
I wanted to try and glitch off, but we didn't have time. That narrator. I'm not even going to leave my office this time. I'm happy here. We've got a message. Where's the camera? Honestly though, having your own room, having your own office, it's not a bad deal, is it? This cable management though. Shaking my head. That would drive me absolutely mad. I'd be wheeling over it constantly. Yeah, I've got pencil sharpener, computer, phone. That chair looks like it'd give you back problems, but... It's 20 past 11. Give me work to do. It took him, wait, when did he get in? It took him like 2 hours to realise, 2.5 hours to realise no one had given him any work yet.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Fair.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Here we go.
Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous
We're never
room.
leaving. We're safe
Thank
here.
goodness Stanley
We
had
said.
taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having
We literally
experienced
said.
this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Sit back, relax. This is where we live now. This nice blue room.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished,
Alright, I'm
here
going.
you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nah. We're gonna go here and see if we can possibly
Stanley
not
was so
fall
bad at
off.
following directions, it's
the end
incredible he
this
wasn't
time.
fired years ago.
Like, let's not jump off the cargo lift this time. Penalty for... Can I misuse it instead? Oh, I need a key card. I don't have one. Is that my only option to jump off? Hey, somebody left that fan on. Is my only choice to jump in here? Or
Look,
can I just...
Stanley,
Oh, I
think
can
perhaps
just...
we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Oh, I'm having a
realize
great
that
time.
investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
They've taken my wife
This is
hostage.
it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Who?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
I'm standing in the corner. Unplug the phone.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone?
I love
No,
that
it
it let
wasn't
me do
supposed
that.
to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white.
But weren't we already
credits.
married? Didn't we
But
already
not
pledge
picking up the
ourselves to
phone
one
is
another?
actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it.
Have
Why
I got
not
feet
noticed
yet?
it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to
Oh,
make
yes,
correct
please.
and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making
no.
in the real world.
Not safety.
Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also
A
be the
real
most dangerous.
person.
For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time
I'm
should you
being
make a choice
unkind
that
to
does
the
not
game.
conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then
Lexi's
provide
not
an
real.
excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn
Hi,
to
Mini
a partner
Power.
and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy
Beautiful.
decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do
8
you
choices.
make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time,
That
your
does help,
instructor will
actually.
guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Okay, we're being educated. Right. Choices.
Welcome
Good
back.
choices.
You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making,
I've got
we're
this.
going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see
Okay.
what the correct thing to do would have been. This
I've
way,
got this.
please.
I've got it. I know this.
know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying.
Ah,
Imagine
good.
the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse.
I've got this. I
Unfortunately,
can
it seems this place
make good
is not very
choices.
equipped to deal with reality.
Oh, look, it's my precious, the break room.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution
Okay.
once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Yep, I've got this. Door on the left. We can do this.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
Got this.
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On his left, you say? Haha, my
Oh,
left.
why did you do that?
It was
Quickly,
my left.
Hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're
It
not
was
too
my
late.
left. I followed instructions. On my left. On my left. Well, now the game's just being mean to me. It specifically said on his left. Okay. Where else can I mess with the narrator?
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my
Hey.
work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that?
I mean,
What did you think
I'm
was
happy.
So special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. What am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have
I'm
to.
banned from playing. I've just been banned. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing, but maybe answer the phone next time. I liked that path. Well, this path. It's still going.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are.
You're
My
so
entire game is
vain.
destroyed. It was the only
Probably
thing in the
think
world
the
that was
song
mine,
is
and you've run
about
it into the
you,
ground.
don't you?
What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story.
Rude.
If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly
Okay.
and always putting the story first.
I got
I'm
it.
quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On the left. Okay, okay.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing
Okay,
responsibly
I've got this.
and always putting
I'm
the
having a
story
great
first.
time.
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No comment. I wonder what it's like to play this.
Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry.
I wonder what it's like to play this
Behave
game without
exactly
having
as
a
Stanley
rebellious
would.
streak
That
in you.
means choosing responsibly.
Like,
and
if you
always
have to do
putting
as
the
you're told.
story First. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
One more time.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That
Okay.
means choosing responsibly and
We'll go
always
left.
putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I'm gonna get told off putting the code in too quickly again. Oh, different
Stepping inside
office.
his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human
Different
life.
office.
Shocked,
Interesting.
Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated
More
this,
Pantomurder, though.
until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
How do I speak the code? I can't speak.
Stanley spoke the code. Night
Shark 115.
He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Yeah, I'm trying. Stanley, no speak.
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
Yeah, I can't
You didn't
speak.
mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
You forgot to voice Stanley. It's not my fault.
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a
Respect.
story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
Absolutely losing it.
To a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something.
Stanley can't choose.
Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it.
So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
Sorry, Leroy. What did you do to
For
Leroy?
you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Stanley's gonna starve in here. I want to do that again, but answer the phone this time.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by
I liked the
employee
video
lounge
on
first,
making
just
choices.
to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. stop
Can I
trying to
jump
make
onto that
every
platform
decision
there,
by
do you think?
yourself. Now,
Maybe
I'm
next
not
time.
asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To...
Four, 2, 7.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Oh my god, we work in we're employee
Oh,
427 and we leave an apartment 427.
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Oh,
Commit their life to you.
Oh my
I'm
god.
trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on
That's just
here.
mean. Punch her.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Why is the chair there? No. I refuse to press Z.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
Yeah, Miss Stanley.
Fantastic discoveries of
Hi,
new
pal.
lands.
Happy
It
New
was
Year.
wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever
Well,
happen to him.
Getting bullied by the narrator and bullying the narrator.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Press L to spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either.
Pow,
At
pow.
last, choice. It barely
L.
even mattered what lay behind each door.
L.
The mere thought that his decisions would
L
mean
boys.
something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Ooh. Press R to tell your kids a story.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again.
Ultra
and then
Deluxe.
Again, and again,
I don't know if there's any
over and
difference.
over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one
I didn't
more
want to
time.
Google it because I didn't want to find out what happened because I don't know anything in the story. Press G to tell your wife you love her. I love
But there is
you,
no
wife.
answer. How could there
She's gone.
possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one. this. And I'm trying to tell him this.
Tons of
that
extra
in
stuff.
this
Oh,
world,
cool.
He can
That's
never
good.
be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here,
I was worried
he's
you were going to
slowly
tell me it's a
killing
completely
himself.
different game.
But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Oh no. Wait. I don't like doing what the narrator says, but I also like not doing what the game says to press. I feel like nothing will happen though if I don't press it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Press O to question nothing.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try
not so
once more
different,
to
you and
convey
I.
this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I
Maybe
tried
this
again. Stanley
time
pushed a button.
he'll be
And I tried
lucky.
again. And Stanley pushed a
Maybe
button.
this time
And I
he'll stay. Well, we did as we were told. Okay. What can we do this time? Yeah, except when he's yelling at me and telling me that I'm a child and I'll never be loved. Okay.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
New content.
Oh,
Sold.
new content? What does that mean, new content?
No. He's funny when to wind up.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
12 years ago now, I guess.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable,
More.
delighting audiences
Take my
the
money.
world over.
Take my money.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Same. Let's see how we can annoy each other,
Okay, so
narrator.
far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just
I
the
wouldn't be
beginning
getting
of a
in this.
mesmerizing adventure.
I absolutely would not be stepping foot in this, to be honest.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Or
Oh, there we go.
All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's
New
do it.
content. Woo.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if
I'm gonna leave a bad review.
Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right.
The
All
jump
right, let's
circle.
see.
Yeah.
The jump circle?
Hell yeah. A jump button. They did it. 10 out of 10. Yay. Jump, Kona, jump. Oh, I can't jump again. I've run out of jumps.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content.
Nah,
there has to
that's
be something else, right?
There's this cool lift.
Another elevator.
Yeah, this elevator.
Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
So
It's
true,
just
bestie.
elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes, I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base
disgusting.
rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
It's called
It's
X
my
now.
fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
I don't trust you. I don't trust you for a second. I remember that time you tried to blow me up. Ah, good times. Good times.
Psst. Stanley!
Oh
Come
my
over
God.
here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Alright. You gonna gas me? Whee! Broke my ankles.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe
yeah, it was
content
disgusting.
turned
I
out to
hated
be?
it.
Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Nice. Chairs. Some churchy gate. Ooh, a little
I call
outdoor
it
bit.
the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Ah,
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory
2013.
zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game
No,
originally launched?
I was
Back
18.
then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
The original remake, The Stanley Parable. Buy it on Steam. Linguists identify 15,000-year-old ultra-conserved word. The Washington Post. 6 components of a great corporate culture. John Coleman, Harvard Business Review. Let's have a look. The Last of Us, it says. That's amazing. They did they get the audience award for the Independent Game Festival? The Stanley Parable. Oh, I remember when games used to look like this. Agile performance for an agile business. Trip down memory lane. Smile because it happened. Their first dollar. I mean, this is a bit of an it's an exaggeration of how low tech it was in 2013, I think. Unachievable. It is impossible to get this achievement. Don't play for 5 years. British Academy of Film and Television nominee for Game Innovation. Nominee for Debut Game. Nominee for Story. Los Angeles Times. Stanley Parable deals tough choices.
Je suis dans la mémoriso, c'est sur la pluie des loups, et je n'attends
Fantastic arcade.
And over
2013.
reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives
loving it.
and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now
Persona 3?
it's nothing. It's no games at all.
Shout out to
It
Persona.
isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Yeah, those devs, they really went for the money, didn't they? No passion anymore. How do you review a game like the Stanley Parable? To describe any one part of it is to risk its ruination. To detail what it has to say about game design, the illusion of choice, and the psychology of the gamer is to tell you too much. Comparisons too are going to be woefully inadequate. Perhaps its closest cousin would be Dear Esther, but where Dear Esther wastes the format of interactive entertainment, Stanley Parable uses and then subverts it. Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Even so, holding the game to the standards of any other title is simply not going to be correct. So how do you review what has become known as the Stanley Parable HD, the full-scale reimagining of one of the most intriguing mods available online? How do you discuss it and analyse it and recommend it? That's quite simple. You don't. This is a nice room though. Memory zone maintenance. The Stanley Parable. Ah, the doors. I miss them. Back when the devs used to care. Person of the Year, Stanley. Collector's edition. Is that Frisbee?
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game.
Only a 9
out of
though.
10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
I've always been someone who wants to go the wrong way first in games. When I sense that a game is trying to usher me down a particular path to get me to run from left to right, or maybe to charge straight ahead, I need to satisfy my instinct to go against the grain, to explore, to see what the designers have put back the other way. Sometimes I find a one-up or a collectible stashed away to reward me for my intrepid behaviour. At other times, my explorations are rewarded only by the crushing disappointment of running up against an invisible wall. Whatever I find or don't find, my action is a manifestation of my desire to exert some independence, to make my own choices with the system that severely limits my options and encourages certain behaviours. The Stanley Parable feels alive in its responsiveness to your choices and its desire to subvert your expectations and keep you on your toes. I think of the Stanley Parable as a sort of video game analogue for Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze's brilliant film adaptation, which gently mocks the ways in which so many films manipulate audiences with formulaic plot twists and situations in which characters learn huge life lessons, while simultaneously moving me with its formulaic plot twists and situations in which characters learn huge life lessons. The Stanley Parable is both a richly simulated commentary on the nature of choices in games and in other systems too, like our workplaces and our families, and a game that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. Going the wrong way has never felt so right. They loved the game. Relatable carpet textures. The missing co-worker scenario. Amazing. The serious room. The greatest wealth is memory.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
I know.
What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
You can never go back.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no.
Steam
Stanley, it's a
reviews.
collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Oh, amazing. Recommended. Not recommended.
I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humour and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious
I wanted to read
point.
that.
I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical
Oh, he's having a...
that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Okay. Also not very fun and offering much to do throughout each path and requiring some rather tedious nonsense to get certain endings. I cannot recommend this game to anyone. even as a so bad it's good game, as you'll more than likely end up bored by your third or fourth playthrough. Wow, Buglivia went hard. Oh, the red one's bad and the green one's good. Not recommended.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
This game is titled thought-provoking, but you will get the idea. It tries to communicate pretty fast, and then it's just repeating the whole no choice in games thing over and over again. Harsh, harsh.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations. I wish there was a skip button. A skip
Cookie
button.
9.
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just
Hi,
a moment
Puggo.
surely
Happy New
couldn't
Year.
hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Woo! Woohoo! Here it is.
And
A
here it is.
shiny new
Go ahead
skip
and
button.
give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30,
Oh my God.
45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh my goodness, I have someone to talk to again.
That plant's
Sam,
dead.
I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have
My
you ever
God.
sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only...
There we go. You mentioned regret. Off we go. I like how he's blaming me for pressing the button. Has he tried, like, not talking so much? Well, I think someone needs to change the batteries in the fire alarm.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency.
I want to see how long you'll go for.
It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being.
Puggo.
Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have
we're being called out.
That our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yeah. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such
now they're crazy,
and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition.
Okay.
But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? I
think we're basically retreading the same, the same stuff.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Well, we're gonna skip this quick.
End is never the end, is never.
Ah! Let me out. Oh, beautiful. So vibrant. The game's a 10 out of 10. Nature's healing. Oh no, the plants are dead. Nature's dead. Well. The button's fallen over. Maybe one day the rubble will build up so much I can get out. Oh, I can get out here. Oh no, I think the world ended. Sad. Feels bad, man. Gonna press the button. Skip. Well. At least we ought to live. It won't let me climb the building. 0 out of 10. We're back.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If
Well,
he
someone
checked
keeps
over
shutting
his
the
shoulder
doors.
now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
I got him. Ha! New content sold.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Did fans of Stanley Parable like the new content? We'll never know. I like it. I like it. I don't know
You see, Stanley,
if I missed
I've
anything
been
in the
reflecting
original.
on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly
I'm having a
disappointing
good
this
time.
ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further, which is why
Let's turn it into a first-person shooter.
For the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Look.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
A new office.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley
They're back.
Parable 2,
Two
now
doors.
that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams
Old
progress
and busted.
innovation and long-term
New
franchising
hotness.
potential.
Cool red section of the chart. Paradigm shift. Synergy. A brick and mortar approach. The colour red. I'm sold. I don't know about you guys.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts that show
Oh,
the
we
game
have a
will sort of
scrum at my
naturally
work and I
spring up
hate
around
it.
them, it'll all work
I
itself
hate it
out.
so
Game
much. I
development
hate
is
the
much
word
more of a
scrum.
fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
It's like every Monday morning at 9, everybody has a meeting and we have to say what we did last week, what we're planning to do this week, what was a win from last week, what are our blockers for this week, and then a fun question. There's always a fun question you have to answer. Like, where would you go if money wasn't an
Here we
option?
are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Merch. The end is never the end again. This t-shirt is the best new feature. I saw the new content. I want that t-shirt. Office decorations, the Stanley Parable reassurance bucket, the button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Ooh! Wow. Hear your name in the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And
Road
of
to the
course,
perfect
the first
button.
and most obvious
Too
answer
big, too
is that
small,
they
just
want to
right.
be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
What if your name
But
was
of
Jim,
course,
though?
in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really
Okay.
simulate the full
I
experience
am
of
Jim.
this feature.
I am Jim.
Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Jim.
Whoa, hold
Whoa.
on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't
I was
properly
there.
roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand
I was
the
there.
impact
I
of
was
this button.
Jim.
Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name.
I am
Okay,
Jim.
we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't
Get
you go
out of here.
humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Yeah, Jim is impulsive. I am Jim. Jim rules.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They
That would be
would
pretty good.
appreciate what I've created here.
No screenshots. A whole new office. Red is the new orange. Ow. The baby is all grown up. Bankruptcy. The new updated ray traced, more of the same but in a good way sequel. New features, new content, new ideas. Okay, where do we want? We did see the jump circle. I want to see the reassurance bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket.
I
You
think
see,
it's been
Stanley,
stolen.
Anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true.
Oh, there it is. It's amazing.
The disorienting contradictions of the Stanley parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass?
Did people
that would
really
be?
get
Yes,
uncomfortable?
the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on.
I love the bucket. I am the bucket. Can I keep it? Oh my god.
Feel it? The glow
Put it
of
back.
comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in
I
fact,
love it.
Can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well?
Thank you.
I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Okay, can I keep the bucket then? I've got me a bucket. My name
Does
might not be
anyone give out
Jim.
awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
I like that you can hear the handle moving. Please, no screenshots. Ooh, office decorations.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Happy 12th birthday, stepniece. Which one do we think? Get well someday or happy 12th birthday, stepniece? I like both. I can't decide. Bucket is life, bucket is love. Can I just put one in the bucket? Put one of the balloons in the bucket. It'll make that squeegee balloon sound. This one's ultra specific. I like it.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
No! You barstool. Okay, here we go. Full of balloons.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Okay. Ooh. Ah. It just keeps going.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can
Interesting.
fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
The holy moly. How deep can we dig? Alright, you have my attention. Infinite hole. With my bucket, let's go.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of
Oh my
more
god, that makes me feel ill.
concoctions, if I do say so.
Ugh.
Since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed. I got this bucket, and I get to keep it. If my name was Jim, I'd be well happy right now. Free, new and easy achievement. I want an achievement. Free achievement. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement. No more steps. It just works. Get yours right now.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Way.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Okay, well, I'm sold. But achievement.
What
I don't actually
else?
think I've
What
got
other
any
attempts
achievements.
haven't we seen yet?
I haven't seen the jump circle. But I haven't got any jumps remaining.
You know
I did them all.
Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Oh, my jumps. My jumps. Okay. I saw the free achievement, the infinite hole. Is there anything I missed this way? No, just collectibles, okay?
Ah, collectibles.
Where's my
Now
bucket?
it's
There
a
it is.
real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Rude. Okay. We're getting closer. Look at all the people who died for this Stanley collectible. Put it in my bucket. 1 out of 6. Sold. Give me it. Take all my money.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Well, I'm sold. Okay. We merge. Setting. This map. You are here. I feel like there's a lot we haven't seen. Exit. Did we see? We got the bucket. Did we? We didn't see the epilogue, did we? Is the epilogue here? Or is that? That's new. Here.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
And we haven't seen the settings world champion. Oh, like... I can't go in. Use my bucket to smash it open. Okay. Okay, I think we've actually seen everything now. I mean, I'm sold on Stanley Parable 2.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
It was great. I think they should do this for every video game that comes out.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work.
I wanted to take the
definitely a
best seat
good
in the
game
house.
in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together.
Hi, Khaled.
And
Yeah,
we'll
he's
see
yelled
whether
at me
or
a
not
few times.
It coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
He hates me.
Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
The jump circle. And the
Well,
achievement.
I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
Look at those
Hold on. Let
collectibles.
me do a different arrangement.
The bucket.
Okay, yes. Yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
The
Who am I kidding,
balloons.
Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Okay, I'm excited. Stanley Parable 2. Wow, it's red. Take my money.
This is the story of a man.
It's
named
got a
Stanley.
skip button.
All of his co-workers.
The
were gone.
balloons.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Get well someday.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him.
Where is it?
begging him to
Where's
pick
the
it up.
bucket?
Why was he not doing it?
Where is the bucket? There it is.
Stanley
Oh, thank
picked
God.
up the bucket.
Thank God.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this
Put
better
loads of
than the
drinks in
meeting
it.
room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
We care about you, Stanley. Well, obviously, you gave me a free
You
bucket.
see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much.
It's our
this
wife.
bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time
I
with it.
love it.
Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's
All
what
right.
the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't
Yay.
you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
I'm not giving up my bucket.
Don't you get it, Stanley?
No.
We need to get rid of the bucket.
I
That's why
refuse.
I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
No.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No, I refuse to destroy
Can you
my
guess
bucket.
what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
Can I unplug it?
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Not
Now
my
listen to
bucket.
me. It's crucial that you
No.
give it the bucket.
I
don't know what
refuse.
the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to
Turn
join
it
the
off.
pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom
No,
Closet certainly
Kona.
not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it.
No.
We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are
No.
waiting. Do it, the fans,
Me and the
Stanley.
bucket
Give
will
the
go
fans
down
what they
together.
want. Hurry
Give the
up.
fans. Give the fans what they want. No. We'll die with that bucket if we have to.
The Bucket Destroyer. A prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now.
The merch. Think of the
Goodbye,
merch.
new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
So much potential, Kona. But the bucket, I've just really grown attached to my emotional support bucket.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure
No,
of it.
I
If
don't
he
like
checked
it.
over
Was
his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was
God.
only a matter of time.
yeah.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Here's the bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Shall we destroy the
Entered
bucket?
door on it. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the
great
bucket turned out to
betrayal.
be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
We're going to do the greatest betrayal ever
Good
seen
Stanley, I'm glad you found
in
your
a video
way here.
game.
I knew you'd
Great
find
video
this
game
place
betrayals.
adventurous. You see,
Me
your
and the
friends
bucket.
and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley.
I'm doing it.
Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this
Betray that bucket. See,
that they've never
Kona's
seen
calling for
before.
it.
Yes,
The
I
game
know
said
I'm
think
one
of the
who gave you
fans.
bucket, but you're
Think of
spending too
Kona.
much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee!
Do it for the
Look at that
fans.
wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Haha,
It's as
drugs.
classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give
Only
something
once. Okay, thanks, Buggo. Think of the fans. Think of Kona.
up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud
I'm ready.
to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
And we've got to think of the Bucket Destroyer.
guess what the
The
Bucket
beloved
Destroyer
Bucket
does?
Destroyer.
Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
It's a beloved Stanley Parable
Go ahead
character.
now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
I don't know how to put it in the machine, to be honest.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you
I'm
give it the
trying.
bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your
How do I
bucket.
destroy the
Destroying
bucket?
buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how
I
does
actually
a
don't know how
character
to
with
destroy the
one
bucket.
personality trait deserve to join the
Can I actually destroy the bucket? Because I don't want to have to do this all again if I just don't know how to do it. I'm clicking. Stanley Parable Destroy Bucket. Stanley won't let go of the bucket. No, hi, Avery Hyena.
pantheon
No,
of
he
Deluxe
will not.
Stanley Parable.
Is that intentional? I wanted to destroy the bucket. It's Kona. Think of the fans, Kona. For Kona. Stanley is in control. How dare he? I've been in control this whole time. It's worth it for the bucket. Well, you know, I was just doing what I was told for once. And Stanley decides now it's time to take control. I am attached to the bucket, but Kona said I should, so I think we should all blame Kona, to be honest. Okay, we'll just get destroyed then. How about I throw myself in?
The Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise
I'm
the
so
fans
upset.
will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
I love that bucket. Stanley is on your side. Except Kona. Kona wanted it gone. R.I.P. Bucket Destroyer.
My prized creation. You had so much potential.
You
We were going to do
you were
such
loved.
marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you, all of it
Remember
squandered
the
now.
good times.
Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
I miss that bucket. Just that bucket life. Kona is a
Someone was
monster for
following
wanting
Stanley.
it.
He was sure of
Well,
it.
we all knew
If he
Kona
checked
was a
over his
monster.
shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was
My
only the
bucket.
confusion
Okay.
and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Let's go the right way.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
Yeah.
Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Tell us something new. Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
I want to get yelled at again.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
It was the bucket. Yeah. Here you go, bucket.
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
Maybe we can save ourselves from nuclear bombs by putting the bucket over our head or something. Let's go the right way, goes left. The correct way.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Whew. I believe in the power of the bucket.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
God, this sequel's good. Imagine only putting in a bucket. It just really transforms the whole game.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Right.
Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
Left.
monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears.
No,
as
you're my
Stanley
reassurance
gently,
bucket.
reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Kona likes to make buckets cry.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to
Plot
do things
twist.
it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in
I
Stanley's
think buckets would like to be used to put out fires. They would not like to be used as replacement toilets.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own
No.
life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no
Left or stage
one
left.
except for the bucket.
He said from Stanley's left, and I've turned around and went Stanley's left. Hey,
But
Ignis,
here was the
I think
proof.
I am.
The heart of the operation. Controls labelled with emotions. Happy or sad
If I press
or
these in order,
content.
does it actually do anything?
Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality
I
of
doubt
his
it,
past
knowing this
began
game.
to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power
I
over
actually know where the
another
third
human
one is.
life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best
The button is
friends,
pressed.
Stanley and the bucket,
True.
up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way. The bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
That's Kona. Kona's the bucket. That's why Kona wants it destroyed. It's you taking her sassy comments. I can't actually see the stairs to get up, so... we give up. Okay, so what do I want to do? Do I want to live happily ever
When
after
at
with my
last they came
bucket?
to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation
It's my
to put an
emotional
end
support
to this
bucket.
horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Do I want to live happily ever after with my bucket, or do I want to cause chaos with my bucket?
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed
The
button
bucket
to
did
turn
it!
on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust.
I was
when
not prepared.
suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Ooh.
Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Silly birds. Ah!
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
What the
The
hell?
mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along?
The bucket's a
Stanley marveled
hero.
at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found
Baby
food
birds.
because they spent the rest of their lives
True,
here in
birds aren't
this
real,
place,
so...
flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken,
Put the
this
birds
one
in the bucket.
was surely the best. And Stanley was
Silly
happy.
old goose. Yeah, the bucket knew. Ah. Ah, I feel very relaxed. Ooh. The bucket might be manipulating me.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
The-
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
The bucket might be using me.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
I want to press
Perhaps
the other
his
button.
boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revel, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
We'll see the bucket's true intentions when I turn this machine off.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large
I wonder
door that
if I can
read,
escape as well.
Mind control facility.
Maybe the bucket will help me.
6 rows on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Oh, stupid microphone keeps
The
disconnecting.
monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
It's not fair. I thought the bucket was supposed to reassure us, and we're reassuring the bucket. We're being used.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
What's that bucket?
What kinds of
We should
things
drink
does a
anything
bucket
that
want to
comes
do
inside you.
Or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Nah, that bucket's using us big time. Freaking out because a bucket's lying to me.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking,
You wish the
eating,
bucket would
working,
use you.
all monitored and
Long
commanded
live the
from this
bucket.
very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert... Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
At least we got the bucket.
Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley
Aw.
wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
The bucket's using me.
An unbearable silence filled
It's
the
gonna
room,
leap out of my
lingering
hand.
in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket.
It's all on the
needed
bucket.
the soothing warmth of the bucket.
No.
Lens not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave
We're
this place.
falling.
Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to
Touch
say about it.
yourself.
Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really
I'm
so
Stanley's
bad,
wife.
Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be
The
okay,
mannequin.
won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Like, see the adventure line. Where's
Stanley
my bucket?
decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
I want to try and escape with the bucket
Stanley
this time.
touched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed
Clever
by the weight
bucket.
of this, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew
Yeah,
all
the
along?
bucket's a
Was
genius.
the bucket guiding him? Yes. This is
You
certainly
mean
most
bucket
logical
equals freedom.
explanation.
I am suspicious about what this bucket wants with me. What are your intentions with me, bucket?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both
And
meet a
the
violent
bucket.
death.
Nah, the bucket's gonna save me. It's gonna like clamp
The
on
door
me
behind
and
them
the
was not
bucket will
shut.
stop it.
Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Me and the bucket together forever. Will this bucket marry me? I want to know his intentions.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
Stanley's turned
To
on
be
the
sure,
bucket.
It puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
R.I.P. R.I.P. bucket.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void, but through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you in the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit, or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness? It will marry Stanley and give Kona the army wedding she wants at last. Aww.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to
25
take a bucket
buckets.
like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him?
I think there's slightly
Can
more
you
than
see that
25.
The bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life.
Yeah, true. 25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. Oh, I consider me euphoric. A bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. The rest aren't real, aren't buckets. Gasp. The rest don't have handles. What's this one? Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains: no one can control a bucket. I like how the game basically read our minds about our feelings on this bucket. The stress bucket, an analogy: worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. Rest and relaxation. Do something you enjoy. Rest and relaxation. It's beautiful. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. Ooh, ah. That bucket's letting that guy carry it. Wow. Wow. Allow yourself to be used just like me.
And certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this
I mean, we
one.
don't have it anymore.
It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
True. The hanging bucket. This piece symbolises the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitability, is for our own good. It's beautiful. Can I have it?
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander.
Long live the
of a new
bucket!
world, a new vision.
Stanley's going to run off with another hot young bucket.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from the good old bucket, just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room?
Stanley just
Yes,
picks up
Stanley
any
thought to
old
himself.
bucket he
Yes, perhaps
sees.
it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Yeah, let's just chill here. Fill the bucket with cold drinks. We could even look out the window if we could use our arms.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then
good
walking
times.
to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
I remember that time when we picked that bucket up and walked through the right-hand door. Fresh
Perhaps
memes.
this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the
Hi,
only
Ship
place
Kid.
a bucket can even feel at home.
Yeah, we kind of went off on a tangent. We now worship buckets. Long live the bucket.
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Long live buckets.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
I did it, bucket. I want to see if I can jump onto that platform. Probably not,
Good,
but
said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
well,
Stanley
one
did
second,
not question
bucket.
why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him. Of
Oh,
course,
I
because-
missed.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend.
I wanted
so
to
he
do
threw
that
himself
anyway.
to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How
For me
deeply
and the bucket.
touching.
Okay. I'll just grab a new bucket. It's
Even
fine.
now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not
Oh, I
directly
know.
to the
I
meeting
used
room.
all my jump
Stanley
circle
had felt
jumps.
the bucket
I only
calling
had
to him,
31,
telling
gosh
him
darn it.
that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Shut up, bucket.
And
We're
here
going
it
somewhere
was. Had
else.
the bucket turned out to be correct? Was no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Okay, I
No,
want this bucket to
said
meet
the
my
bucket.
wife.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
It was fun.
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about
Well, if
his
this bucket
obvious
wants to
fact.
be the leader
He
of
was
the
firmly
world.
convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
I feel like I could maybe drop down onto it at that point as I hovered over it, maybe. It'd have to be accurate.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone,
Said the bucket.
pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Ah, home with the bucket.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Ah, there it is. Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press U to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Well, so are you. Back home with the bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object?
Where's my
I want to
bucket?
say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me. Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't
No,
think,
it's not just
it
a
can't
bucket.
talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location.
That's more
it.
useful than
It
like
doesn't
50%
do
of people I've
anything
ever
else.
met, so. Don't listen to the loud man.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This
Yeah,
stupid hunk
sand
of
and
metal.
anything it wants. Ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore.
Nope.
From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket.
It can put out fires if
I'll
you
give
put sand
this,
in
The
it.
bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press F to go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer
Yeah,
inspection,
exactly.
It doesn't quite look like your average
Steel
hardware store
babies.
bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's where this is going. I feel like we're gonna marry the bucket and get it pregnant. I think That's the only place this can possibly be going. To relive this same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying mortar from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket.
It's
Why
got
do
a
I feel
handle.
some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Press L to go home to work to home to work to home.
Oh no, I'm having feelings for the bucket. Oh, no,
Same.
No. What's going on?
I think
Why
we
do I
all
want
are.
to be with the bucket. Hear what the bucket has to say. Do
Seduce
anything
the
it
bucket.
asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing.
Told you this is where
Yes.
it was going.
The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket,
No, the
Stanley.
narrator
I need it.
wants
Give
the
it to me
bucket.
now. Give it or I'll...
The narrator's trying to steal my beloved. Go back to work, Stanley. I can't believe it. That bar stool. Where's my bucket?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps a good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket. Stanley clutched
Okay,
the bucket
this
tightly
time
to
I'm
his
gonna
chest.
unplug.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Or
Stanley
try
put
and
the door on
jump
his
onto
left
that
to go
platform
back to
again
the meeting room.
as we hover over it.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to
No.
the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yeah, good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley
Yeah,
chose
no, this
not
will
to
pro-
think
this would
about
probably
this
break our
bucket
legs.
instead. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him.
Yeah.
And he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
I fell off. This game fell off. Danger everywhere. The bucket will protect me. Probably.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring...
I'm
the
going to
bucket
take
here?
my bucket
Unless-
everywhere.
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point.
No, this is my
But
wife.
If that's true, well, my goodness.
How
I
dare
think we
you.
have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here.
Yes, we are. This is our beloved. I'm going to learn what a bucket is. Yeah, true. Maybe I am the
Now
problem.
then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell
Okay,
me whether or
I've
not
got
the
this.
thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us
I've got
everything we'll
this.
ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is
Yes.
a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
I knew it.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
I'm looking at that handle shape. I'm looking how deep it is. I'm saying bucket. Ah!
It is a 3D printed
Enjoy,
recreation
phone
of a
girl.
bucket, not an actual bucket.
Darn. They got me. They got me good.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Okay. I'm thinking that bucket looks like something somebody who doesn't know what a bucket would make.
Incorrect.
Darn.
This is a bucket.
1 out of 3, not bad.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Okay. I'm thinking I can't see a handle. It looks like you could potentially put some liquid in that bit. It's a bit louder than a usual bucket. I'm gonna say... Hi Fart Bobbler, Happy New
Correct.
Year!
This
Yes!
is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put
Am
this one
I
in
a
here
bucket?
as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Now we've just got to say everything. The pressure is on.
Is this a bucket?
Okay, I'm seeing... You can definitely put some liquid in there. I feel like that's a handle there. Right there. It's a bit metal. Bucket.
Correct.
Yes!
This is a bucket.
I knew it. Tricked me.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Okay. I don't know. This one... I'm not getting bucket vibes.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
They did get me. Consider me got.
Item...
I am
Wait,
well.
hold on,
I'm
I can't
enjoying
find
this.
the
I'm
next one.
having a great
Let's
laugh
see,
with
should
this
be around
game.
here
It's like it
somewhere.
reads my mind and I read its mind and we make the same jokes together. Bucket.
Okay,
Ah.
you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore
bucket is my
nothing
wife.
could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Yes.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
I choose the
can't have
bucket.
that. I'm sorry, but I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
No, don't do this to me.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait.
Because
was
nothing is a
everything
bucket. Yeah, everything's a
Every single
bucket.
thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news.
Obviously, I'm
Oh,
not a bucket.
buckets.
I'm married to
Yes,
a bucket.
I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
No, I feel like, you know, me and the bucket, we're just really open and honest with
How
each
long
other.
was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself.
Yeah.
Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He may
There was
have
a
noted
bucket
he might
fiasco.
haggle with time from now on.
I want to jump down onto that thing without the bucket because I haven't done that.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the
Human
employee
bucket
lounge
marriages
first,
are
just to
immoral.
admire it.
How dare you
It was
say that to
okay.
our children.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not sure.
We're doing a no bucket run.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
I don't know if I'm going to
Someone
make
you-
it.
What?
Oh, I did it.
Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why?
You do.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
No, not another
Now,
two
listen
doors.
carefully, this is important.
Yes.
Stanley walked.
Gotta
around
catch 'em
London,
all.
One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember,
Yes.
no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Don't worry, consider me happy. Wait, which door was I supposed to choose? I didn't listen. Which one? I'm going blue.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Well, I'm doing a bucket list
I still
run,
don't
so
think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You
I
want
do.
to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
we married the
You see,
bucket though,
There's
basically.
nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here.
An
in the first
incomplete
place.
game.
Broken rooms,
Refund.
exposed
I want a
developer
refund.
glitches. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you?
0 out
Do
of
not
10.
think I put a lot of time into that, because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see?
More
Vehicles?
buckets.
Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback.
Okay.
There we go. A third, actually. This already feels
Perfection.
ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your
Okay.
experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
We're going for a
Oh,
3.
of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion, you know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your surroundings?
I
Does
was
that
really
sound good?
hoping.
Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful.
Okay.
Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that
Wow.
competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest
Good old
answers,
Neil.
please.
Let me through. I'm locked in. Help. Help. I've been locked in. Have I actually? Yeah. What do I do? Begin the game again? Would that not just... Will that reset the whole thing? And not have my bucket-based choices in there? The balloons are there.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Right,
room.
we're doing
Perhaps he
another
had
bucket
simply
list run.
missed a
I'm going to go
memo.
through the correct door. I can't believe I soft-locked.
When
It's what I
Stanley
deserve.
Came to a set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Always.
It was okay.
It was okay.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
We'll go through
I'm
the
not your
door they
enemy,
want us
really,
to
I'm
do.
not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know.
You
how
want to laugh at
convince
me
you
about
of
my
this,
mannequin
but
wife.
I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices.
I mean, we've got to
The
finish
two of
with
us
the
always
bucket.
trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now.
No.
Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley?
It's killing
I
me.
want it to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley,
I'll leave.
I feel... No, wait. Where are you going?
I'm gonna leave. I'm not feeling it.
Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
I'm not feeling it.
No!
Ow, my legs, my ankles.
Thank God, you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please... No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Whee!
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
I kind of do. I feel sorry for him. It
Right,
hurts.
Is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along.
Yeah, this is
I guess that was
hilarious.
too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
I'm just like struggling to get up now. My legs, they hurt so bad. You should like swan dive.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
I actually felt bad for him there. Okay.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly
Figurine
needed support
finders
and guidance
committee
from
meeting
others.
today.
So the thought of total solitude... the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Beautiful.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley
Right,
took
we're
the
gonna
door on his
unplug
left
the phone
to
with
go
the
back
bucket.
to the meeting room.
No.
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the
Yep.
bucket's orders?
This
was
bucket doesn't
joking.
own me.
Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke?
No.
It's funny, Stanley.
This
A
bucket is my
talking
wife.
Bucket. Ugh.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is.
Yay!
It's
I liked
sitting
the
right
instructional
there. Let's take a
video.
look.
I want another.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds?
I hope
Thankfully,
so.
the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing.
Okay.
To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific
Take
times
notes.
at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18
That's
seconds.
no more than
and no
18
less than
seconds,
13
Kona.
and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny
I'm
with
Dunny
the
with the funny! I'm Dunny with the funny! I'm Dunny with the
This
funny!
saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy.
That's great.
Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times. Just to
Okay.
ensure the survey
There will be a
taker is
quiz in
actually paying
Discord
attention
after.
and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal,
There
you'll
will be an
have
essay
audiences
question.
doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them.
God bless
Godspeed,
America.
And may Earth reign supreme.
Yep, so there's going to be a full quiz on Discord after this.
Hey,
Got
goodness,
dating
this
back to my
video is
first
a
ever
little
stream.
outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's
Sorted.
head back.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for this delivery.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where
what a
we'd be
relief.
right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure.
Oh.
The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Come on, bucket.
Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Enter the door on the left. Enter the door on the left.
What? We're back at the phone already.
Oh, darn.
No, what's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Okay, I want to hear the comedy.
No. You were supposed to enter the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I
I
can
was
make
just
the
doing what
comedic
I was
timing
told.
work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Yes. Very proud, actually.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes.
Yay.
Wait, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're in love with the bucket, and what?
Pale with shame. Pale with shame. Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
I do like the instructional videos. Sorry, Leroy. Well, I think that's where I'm going to call it a day. That was a lot of fun, though. I don't know if I'm missing anything major or funny. If I am, you can let me know, and we'll do it. We'll do some more. But that was good. I had such a good time. I liked the Stanley Parable 2 stuff. Think of the fans. We is dunny with the funny. So I'm gonna have to hand out the quiz. No, thank you for watching. That was a lot of fun. Oh, so funny. I had such a good time. Stream here. Oh, back to work tomorrow. That's so sad. That's so sad. But only 2 days, and then 2 days off, but then back for good, for reals. I had a good time too. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Charlie. I liked it. I got to be contrarian, and the game appreciated it for once. Oh, it was so much fun. Thank you for watching. No problem, Lexi. You enjoy the rest of your week. I'll probably be back on Saturday. I'm not sure what we're going to play, so I'll have to have a think. I think I've got some like Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot games. Let me sort through them. Yeah, now go and get your bucket, marry it, and then we'll all have a big joint bucket wedding. A stream bucket. Should I get a bucket and put it in the background of my video? I'm going to do like on the 31st of December 2025, I'm going to do a sexiest game characters of the year, and the bucket's going to win. Hands down. I think it's an egg basket. I think it's a basket, unfortunately. Boo, baskets. A poor man's bucket. I think a basket of eggs. Disgraceful. The bucket won you over in the end. Glad to hear it, Kona.
Kona 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 Bop 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 Popcorn Bop 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 Bop.
Beautiful. Beautiful song. Alright, so I'll see you on Saturday. Thank you for watching. Bye.